We are True Story Project, and we are a collection of artists, writers, singers, musicians, who have a radical idea that when artists start collaborating and stop competing, the planet gets better. That collaboration can produce American ideals, and that competition produces American Idol. With that in mind, we find overlapping themes in the short stories and the acoustic songs that we've written on our own. And then we forge those two artworks together to create a new genre of performance art. Our first piece tonight is called Fuji. Hiking Mount Fuji is not a great accomplishment. When you do it, old Japanese ladies who do it once a week for leisure pass you by, giggling. You hike Mount Fuji the way you tour the Colosseum in Rome. Anyone can do it, but not everyone has been, so you do it to say you've been. Well, I have proof that I've been. It's a lava rock from the very top of Fuji-san. A quarter-pound chunk of volcano vomit that I learned after I had brought it home was bad luck. I was telling this story to my friend Jen, a beautiful young woman totally devoted to the healing arts and making the world a better place. Jen is not a liberal, Jen is not a progressive, Jen is a utopian.
Apologize to the mountain and let it know the rock is in good hands. You've been proud to have it, you've been taking good care of it, and you want permission to keep it. Maybe even one day you will return it.
Jen said.
But you have to go back to the moment when you took it.
Our group of 10X Patriots began the Fuji climb at 11 p.m. It's the recommended way to climb Fuji-san because leaving the base station at 11 p.m. allows you to get to the top of Fuji right at sunrise. It also makes the hike up one of the most aesthetic nighttime experiences imaginable. Far outside the Tokyo-Yokohama skyline, nearly 13,000 feet in the air, Fuji is the Hubble telescope of earthbound stargazing. Never before had I seen so many stars, so crystalline. But what drew my attention for most of the hike upward was not the amazing sky. It was the clouds underneath. You see, a couple hours into the hike, we were well above cloud line, and our group noticed a strange triangular dark spot on the clouds below. Some loose references were made to it along the way, but none of us really knew what it was we were seeing. After all, it was much easier to get lost in the mystery of a galaxy than to ponder some bizarre cloud formation down below. A few more hours into the hike, oxygen began to thin, and while there were no treacherous moments, taking 7 steps, then 5 steps, then 3 steps in a row became a challenge. A break was needed. My buddy Mike, a sweet-natured Texan, stood about 6'3". He needed that break the most. He pulled off his backpack, sat down next to his fiancée Kara, and he looked up at the sky. It's a full moon tonight. That's why we're seeing the shape. No one said anything, but everyone looked around as this silent haiku hit the collective unconscious.
Triangular shapes, full moon on a volcano. See the clouds below. Triangular shapes, full moon on a volcano. See the clouds below.
Holy crap, Mike, I said. Yeah, I think that triangle we've been looking at is Fuji's shadow, Mike said coolly. Holy crap, Mike, I said.
And I keep walking till my feet may bleed. I've no control of what they see. The people change, the children grow. Can't change what others think they know. Just walking on.
think that when we die, for a second we're still alive. And during that second, I believe our mind pulls above our body, knowing exactly where we are, knowing exactly where we're going, knowing exactly content. That's how we felt on Fuji-san at that moment. Our bodies and minds at rest. The subtle cues of ambivalent nature revealing themselves in the silence of the world, where freedom lies and creativity is born. And for the first moment in our 21 years of life, we knew exactly who we were.
And I keep walking till my feet may bleed. I've no control of what they see. The people change, the children grow. Can't change what others think they know. Just walk and don't look down, and you'll be free. I keep walking till my feet may bleed. I've no control of what they see. The people change, the children grow. Can't change what others think they know. Just walk and don't look down, and you'll be free. Oh, you will be free. Just walk and don't look down, and you'll be free. Oh, you will be free. Just walk and don't look down, and you will be free.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have one other radical idea, and that's within tragedy, the human mind, the human spirit can still see beauty. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful. Traditional vows do not adequately express my desire to be your loving and faithful husband. Saying until death do us part would be an empty promise, since dying will not end my love for you. Saying in good times and in bad would be untruthful, since no time is bad when I'm filled with all that is you. So instead, I say to you now that I will for all of life awake each morning with one soulful purpose, to make you the most loved woman on the face of this earth. The last night of her life was the most beautiful. One final friend stopped by around 9 p.m. And by the time my friend Stephanie had seen my wife, Lisa could no longer communicate. I even wondered if she knew we were there. Was her breathing voluntary and controlled, or was it just a reflex, expiring? The last few days had been like this, so I thought nothing of having my friend stay for coffee and catch up on the past few months. My family was also there and wanted to visit with her too. My wife had her mother and sister nearby in case a need arose. It felt okay to be outside the room. So in our one-bedroom beach apartment, my wife lay, reflexively breathing, on a hospital bed next to our larger regular bed. She was taking in just enough oxygen in just enough time to keep her body going. On a regular bed sat her sister and mother, taking in Lisa's physical details, her soft hands and elegant fingers, her high cheekbones and full face, the curve of her hairline around her ear, all for future memory when it would be hidden underground. At the kitchen table, my mother, my friend, and myself drank coffee. We were all fatigued, and only sleep or caffeine could make us feel semi-normal. My high school friend had come to show me support, the same way my wife's friends had come those 2 weeks before. Good people respond well when crisis occurs. Some pray, some think of you, your pain, its injustice and mystery. Whether they are present or not, they experience it with you. We talked about work and Stephanie's marriage plans. We talked about the difficulty Lisa had the past 2 months, but how the pain medication had given her some physical peace at last. And later we went back into the bedroom. Lisa's breathing was a bit more shallow than before. My friend tried communicating, but only received awkward and muttered quick half replies. Earlier that day, we heard one full sentence. My wife had said, "I have pain." So we tripled her morphine and figured she would die that day. All day, her mother said, "Eric, she doesn't have much longer, maybe an hour or two." Around noon, I noticed it was Valentine's Day, the day my wife and I had fallen in love. "She'll wait until we had our first kiss," I told everyone. It happened Valentine's night, sometime between 11:15 and 11:30 p.m., 3 years earlier. We were all speaking about this day once again when Stephanie figured she should go. She said something very nice to Lisa, I can't remember exactly what. I walked her to the door, she gave me a hug, and she cried. "I'm just happy to be here for her," I consoled her. She said, "I know. If this were me or Peter, we'd be there for each other too. I'm crying because it's beautiful." I said, "It is beautiful, isn't it?" Stephanie left, and I went back into the bedroom to lie by my wife one final time. After about an hour, everyone came into the room because Lisa's gargled breath had gradually slowed more, and it was time. Her mother sat down beside the bed and whispered in graceful conviction, "Go to the light, Lisa, go to the light." "You'll be okay, baby, we love you," I whispered in her other ear. My wife sighed. It was supposed to be a sentence, but we all knew what she meant. She took a breath, her head fell on my chest, and she made one final breath sounding more like an exhale than an inhale, and then she breathed no more.
Sing to me, baby, sing of your love, sing of your life. Sing to me, baby, sing with your soul. I miss your design.
One moment alive, one moment not. How strange, I thought. Death can't end our love, we'd always promise. And I felt some scattered energy in her body, but as we took her off the hospital bed to clean her up and place her one final time on our regular bed, she was definitely not in that body. I tried sensing a change in the air, hoping my wife's spirit was present or floating, and there was no difference. I watched her sister weep silently and thought of all the silly quarrels and tiffs that had separated Alexandra and me. Alexandra used to think when she was a small child that Lisa was her mother, not her sibling. All their lives, they were dear friends more than blood, and somehow our love got in their way. So I put my arm around Alexandra and said, "Lisa sure loved Alex. She loved Alex so much." I realized after my statement that it was kind of involuntary, a reflex, like my wife's labored breaths. And I knew then where she had gone. With her last, almost exhaled breath, I believe she overtook me, she inspired me, she kept our promise. Death cannot end love. Lisa's soulless, naked body hung in my arms. Now the first time in a month we lay on our regular bed together. And I remembered how upon ending her showers, I'd grab her and hold her on that same bed, oblivious to wet clothes or saturated bedding. I had to get up when Jim, my mother-in-law's boyfriend, wanted to show me something outside. I remembered how he and I, Lisa and her uncle, all went out together on a summer night in Palm Springs and got crazy drunk. She was singing songs inside my head.
Sing to
Jim and I walked to the porch and stopped. "Look at that," he said, and pointed to the nighttime sky. I looked heavenward and saw the moon directly overhead and half full, and next to it was a golden star. She promised she'd give me a star so I'd know. She said she would give my mother a hug in heaven and put a star in the sky as proof, Jim explained. "It's beautiful," he wept. I thought about the color, its brightness, its position in the sky, and wondered if it were a star or a planet. So I noted the day and the time and would look it up in the charts later. It was Valentine's night, sometime between 11:15 and 11:30 p.m., 3 years after we had fallen in love, 3 years after the moment we shared our first kiss. It seemed all I knew on earth and all I would ever need to know. Jim headed back inside. I stood on our porch staring at the sky and said, "It is beautiful, isn't it?"
Words elude me now as I try to convey what I feel inside.
Thank you.